Welcome to the first episode of the Talking Smack show. Not to be mixed up with the Fetish podcast, which I stumbled across when I was looking at this name. And today I'm going to be talking about the Smackdown episode from last night on the 7th of March. And we are going all gas and no breaks today. What a show of Smackdown it was. We had a few bangers of matches. Particularly, I thought the Michin and Chelsea Green match was quality. I really enjoyed the main event, which was the US Championship match between Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight. And also, just in general, I can't get enough of Jacob Fatu at the moment. So, let's get going. The episode started off with Drew McIntyre attacking Damian Priest. Now, I'm a little bit mixed up about this rivalry because on one hand, I can't get enough of Drew McIntyre, the Scottish psychopath. He is just top tier, in my opinion. He goes harder than anyone. He moves incredibly. His promos are outstanding. He's so funny on social media. Like, this guy, he deserves everything, in my opinion. And then we've got Damian Priest, who is tall and has long hair. And other than that, I'm not really sure. Like, it's probably just me. Like, he's got a pretty cool look, although, in my opinion, it reminds me a bit too much of the Gimp in what's it called? That Quentin Tarantino film. Like, it's just a bit creepy. I know Rhea Ripley joked about him being by Undertaker, but I just want him to go by for good, really. But anyway, like, I'm glad that Drew has something to lead into WrestleMania, but I'm not sure whether this is the best thing for him. But throughout the show, so he starts off attacking Damian Priest to do with getting eliminated from Royal Rumble, and then also him screwing him over a little bit in the Elimination Chamber match. Then later on, he cuts a promo just talking about why, really. And it had one great line in it, I thought. He goes, "I have nothing to give but violence." Oh, I fucking love that. Like, I couldn't get enough of that. That had me, like, jumping up and down, pumping my fist, just ready to go, to be honest with you. So then that led into him having a match with Jimmy Uso. It was a pretty solid match. I'm going to talk about Jimmy a bit more in a moment. I just love Drew's work in the ring, though. Like, he's so powerful. And like there was one point where Jimmy got tossed into the turnbuckle and he went to that thing where they leap and push off with their arms and bounce over them. And Drew dropped down and kicked him in the stomach during that, and it looked quality. And then he won the match with the Claymore. Like, he just blasted him. It looked rough. Like, it was brilliant, I thought. But so he won the match, as we'd expect. But then Damian Priest ran down and attacked him. And yeah, it's a WrestleMania match, isn't it? Like, there was the talk. We knew during Royal Rumble that this was probably the way they were going to go. And I'd hoped maybe they'd move away from it. I think Drew deserves something better. But at this point of the year, he's not really got anything else going on, has he? I really hope he gets a title run again at some point. Like, he's such a good star, I think, and he's always there. He really grafts. So he's hoping we get something better for Drew after WrestleMania. But he's got a bigger story than probably the likes of, like, AJ Styles, for instance, coming back. I think he's just going to get chucked into the Intercontinental title. So let's not complain too much. But yeah. So then it got me thinking about Jimmy, really. Like, where does Jimmy go from here, or even up to this point? He's just sort of muddling along, not really sure what's going on with him. I think he moves better in the ring and probably is better in the ring than Jay, in my opinion. But Jay's got a cooler haircut and a little bit more charisma, probably, and he's got Yeet over. And Jay's so over. So with Jimmy, and there's quite a few others, I was thinking, like, where do we go with this? And this match was after the street fight of Michin. And I really think if they did something like bringing back the hardcore belt, not the shitty 24/7 one, but the proper hardcore belt, when you've got these guys who are like pretty good, but they don't really have a direction, if you put them in some of those matches and they had a few spots that really got over, you could really build some momentum for some of these like mid lower card wrestlers who need that opportunity to do something. At the moment, Jimmy's just in stories to be a whipping boy. Whereas if you let him like smack Carmelo Hayes over the head with a dustbin or whatever it was, you'd really start building up that character a lot more for me. Also, during that match, there was a part where he got Drew through Jimmy, into the announce desk. And I was thinking, like, when the Netflix era started in January, they kept banging on about how these announce tables have been reinforced. And we've not seen that come of anything yet. So my assumption is at WrestleMania, we're going to have someone go through the reinforced table. Watch the next couple of weeks. They've stopped talking about the tables being reinforced at the moment, but the next couple of weeks, I think they're going to start making a bigger deal about that, talking about how reinforced they are, how tough they are, and then someone's going to go through it, and it's going to be the first, one of the 2025 oh my god moments. So later on, we had Randy Orton coming down. He did his first promo since coming back after attacking Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber. So first of all, I'm really glad Randy's back. Like, I love Randy, and the fact that he's probably going to do the punt is really cool, and it shows that WWE is really moving out of that PG era where we're starting to see that like controlled violence a lot more, which I love. However, I just don't feel like the Sammy and KO story is over as far as I'm concerned. I would have been really comfortable with that story just being them two carrying on into WrestleMania. I would have loved them to have a Hell in a Cell match, probably was what I was hoping. And what I wanted was Kevin Owens to jump off the cell onto Sami Zayn and break that reinforced table. But it doesn't look like we're going to get that, sadly. So Randy's in this story. Obviously, he had to come back after KO, but I think I'd have rather it was after WrestleMania. But anyway, he's back. He spoke about how he needs to get revenge on Kevin Owens. Blah blah blah. It's cool. I love Randy, but I was thinking about Kevin Owens, who's probably my favorite superstar at the moment, and I think I wanted him to beat Cody at Royal Rumble, rather. Like, he does everything. If he's a heel, he's the best heel. If he's a comedy act, he's the best comedy act. Like, him and Jericho doing the List storyline, what was that, like 10 years ago, was some of the funniest shit I've ever seen on wrestling, to be honest. Like R-Truth funny, it was that good. But KO's can get a big WrestleMania storyline, which is cool. And later on in the show, Carmelo Hayes was talking trash about Randy, how he had a go at Cena for taking the Rock's offer, and he was saying just talking about Randy being on the shelf and stuff. Randy turned up behind him, so they're going to have a match next week with SmackDown being in Barcelona. So that should be pretty cool. You can imagine like the type of wrestler Carmelo is. It's going to be a pretty cool moment with him probably jumping off the top rope, going for his finisher. What's it like, the last 48 or whatever it's called, and getting RKO'd off of that. So that'll be cool. I don't think Randy's going to punt him. I don't think we're going to have the punt being weekly like it used to be with men, women, and children. But we're probably going to get a pretty cool RKO moment off the back of that match. So now we need to talk about who's probably my top superstar of 2025 so far, Chelsea Green. What a woman. First of all, Nicholas is probably the best way to introduce yourself in any segment. Whenever she's talking to Nick Aldis, from now on, Nick Aldis needs to be called Nicholas, just like that. There was a great moment with I'm really liking her and Chelsea Piper. At one point, Piper went, "Are you trying to censor me?" To Tiffy, which was pretty cool. I really like Tiffy as well. I think the women's division on SmackDown's in a really good way at the moment. They're really building the characters well. I think SmackDown, what it's doing with character development and making the belts important, is far superior to Raw at the moment. Like just everything really. But those women are top notch. So then with Piper and Chelsea and Tiffy, it ended up being that we got a match of Tiffy versus Piper Niven, which was decent. I really enjoyed Stratton fighting someone other than Nia Jax, who this is obviously the first episode. You're going to find out. I've got no time for Nia, man. Nia Jax is dog shit for me. She's got no charisma. She moves like shit. There's nothing likable about her. Not in like a heel dislike, just in a general. Yeah. So Tiffy got a match against a decent wrestler, and her and Piper put on a good show. Piper sold everything really well, and it was just a good, fun match. I enjoyed it a lot. So there was a point where Piper went to crush Tiffy off the top rope, and Tiffy rolled out the way. I don't think it was the best setup for Tiffy's moonsault, but that moonsault is perfection. I think, considering she's only been wrestling for 2 years, Tiffany Stratton is incredible. Like, she does power moves, she moves gracefully, she's so athletic. Obviously, she's wildly charismatic. And then Charlotte came down, attacked Tiffy, did the figure 8 leg lock, which still really, even though she's been around forever now, I think that finisher, that submission looks quality. She really locked it in, and Tiffany sold it so well. So this storyline obviously has Tiffany Stratton being a face, and Charlotte Flair being a heel. And at the moment, Charlotte's just sort of bobbling along as a heel. I think she's going to have to do something dastardly to really get this story going. I don't know what that's going to be, but we've got over a month to go till Mania. But for me, she has to do something despicable to Tiffany to really get this rivalry going. And then, Charlotte's going to have a match next week against B-Fab. It's just going to be like a Charlotte Flair exhibition. But B-Fab's improving, but it is what it is. And you'd think Tiffany's going to have to interfere or attack Charlotte at that match. But then I got to thinking about where we are with Tiffy, and she's a face at the moment. And I don't think she can be a credible face forever. I think she's going to have to go back to being a heel at some point. What I'd really like is Ludwig Kaiser to be her, who's obviously her boyfriend in real life. I'd love him to be Tiffany's manager at some point. I think that could be a really good heel combo at some point. But yeah, watch out for that space. So later on, we had Michin versus Chelsea Green, in a street fight. And first of all, I think it's really cool that they're bringing back some of these more abstract or old school matches, like what we used to see a lot in the early 2000s on WWE, WWF, whatever it was at the time. But Chelsea Green, she came out and she was dressed up as like her version of Cactus Jack. It was really cool. So she had Chelsea going down her leggings the way that he used to wear the black tracky bottoms. She had a t-shirt, like a Cactus Jack t-shirt, but with her face, Wanted Dead or Alive, and then a flannel vest. And it was just cool. Like I can't get enough of Chelsea Green, man. And you watch this street fight and you're like, oh, Chelsea Green in a street fight. How's that going to go? However, if you go on Instagram and you search Chelsea Green versus Penta, and you'll find this like this highlight package from when they had a match while she was on Lucha Underground, and it's fucking nuts. Like, they beat the shit out of each other. I think she was called Reclusa at the time, and like, you watch that and you're like, yeah, let's go. Like, street fight, her and Michin. So Chelsea Green came down first as Cactus Jack. She had dressed up as him, more or less. And then Michin came down. She was wearing like a Philadelphia Eagles vest type thing, but she was carrying the bin of goodies, which was pretty cool. So they had like trays, crowbar. I don't think the crowbar got used in the match, but she had some chains, kendo sticks, which apparently is her personality at the moment. And yeah, so that was cool. The match was decent. I really enjoyed it. I was saying to my mate straight after, I think it's probably the first, or one of the first, women's hardcore, or whatever you want to call it, matches, like, just generally, that went really hard. My guess is, back in the day, Vince didn't want the women kicking the shit out of each other too much, so they always had this sort of like, softer version of hardcore matches. And I know there have been some in the past, none come to mind, but they really, like, decimated each other. Right to start off with, Michin smashed Chelsea Green in the face with a metal tray, and like, there was literally like a face print, like, you know, those pin things where you put your hand in it or your face in it and it comes through. That's what the tray looked like. She got fucked up right early on. So then the match went on. But there was some really cool parts, like a couple of good chair shots. Chelsea Green, so Piper Niven was down as the Secret Service. At one point, Michin was down, and Piper Niven held her up, sat up in the ring, and Chelsea pushed the bin into her and did like Shane McMahon coast to coast drop kick, but not across the whole ring, like about 3/4 of the way. So that was pretty cool. At one point, then B-Fab chased Piper Niven away, and then Chelsea Green got put in the corner. Michin put the bin against her and did that sort of like running swanton that Rob Van Dam used to do. So that was pretty cool. It looked like Michin was going to win, but then someone in a black hoodie came down and got involved, and then did the Canadian Destroyer on her, onto Michin, onto a chair, and then the hoodie down, and it turned out to be Alba Fire, and she was wearing like a sort of black suit type thing. And then once Chelsea Green got the pin, she got Alba Fire gave her a salute. So it looks like Chelsea Green's Secret Service is growing, which I like. I love a heel faction, and Chelsea Green is the best heel going at the moment. Like, she's like a modern day Miz. She's despicable but hilarious, and I'm all here for it, man. So later on, we had a pretty cool segment with Nick Aldis, and he had a whiteboard and pictures of the 5 tag teams that are really prevalent at the moment. So he had DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Los Gardas del Fantasma, Street Profits, and yeah, boy, Pretty Deadly. And he did like the joining it up and going through it, and it was basically like a bit of an homage to Always Sunny, when Charlie and Mac are working in the office building. I can't remember why they're trying to get medical insurance, and then Charlie's like all like frantically joining it up, and he's like, Pepe Rubio, Pepe Rubio, and you're like, there is no Pepe Rubio, or is it Pepe Silvio? No, that's regardless. So it was really funny, like him joining up all the pieces. I'd have liked it a little bit more frantic for me, but it was cool. I enjoyed it a lot. So I think SmackDown, the way that they've built up the tag team division, is really, really impressive. Like, really, tag team wrestling on WWE has been a bit of a nothing since probably the bloodline era of the Usos, and they just dominated. And it's really just flattened tag team wrestling. And then they split up the belts at WrestleMania, but nothing really got going until recently on SmackDown. So DIY are obviously pretty good in it all. They've done a good job building up the whole scene, but it's all the other teams as well. The way they're working, what they're doing is really cool to see. So it ended up being that there was a number one contender tag team match yesterday, between Motor City Machine Guns, Legado del Fantasma, who I don't really understand. I might have missed something, but when they split off from LWO, they swapped the tag team with the old Legado del Fantasma staying in LWO. And then is it Hunico and Berto now becoming the new Legado del Fantasma. And they're really good wrestlers, those two, I think. They're a really solid tag team. They're much, much better than the old Legado del Fantasma. And Pretty Deadly were in the triple threat tag team match. And it was cool, like having one of those matches where you only have two people in the ring and the third one gets tagged in. And so it was really fast and frantic, loads and loads of tags. Another example of them reintroducing some of those older match styles, which we don't see too often. So the match was cool. And ultimately, the winners were, yes, boy, Pretty Deadly, who I love. I want to know, though, do Americans find Pretty Deadly as funny as I do? Like, is it a British thing? Or is it like, I've just got a sad sense of humor thing? Like, what's going on there? But regardless, it was a really good match. I mean, I enjoyed that. So I think they fight the DIY next week in Barcelona. But ultimately, we're probably setting up for, at WrestleMania, a 5-way tag team match between DIY, who I'd assume will hold the belt still, Pretty Deadly, Legado del Fantasma, Motor City Machine Guns, and Street Profits. At the moment, my assumption is that Street Profits would win that, but you don't typically have a heel team beating a heel team. So maybe Pretty Deadly will win next week, and then it'll be like a 5-way tag match of some sort at WrestleMania, but we'll wait and see. Later on, DIY did a little promo after the match as well, just building up that match that they're going to have and really helping give the rub to other teams in the division. So like I said, I think they've been a really good team carrying the division and just giving everyone that bit of love. So another point in the show, we had Bianca Belair come down, crying, talking about Naomi. It was pretty disgusting. Then Naomi came down, who I'm also not a big fan of, but she was wearing a neck brace, and it was like a blinged out neck brace, and that I thought was fucking hilarious. I really appreciated that. I think a heel Naomi is a lot better than a face Naomi, so hopefully she'll build up a bit of heat over the next few months and go on to have a bit more of a heel run. As a face, she's just a bit bland, I think. So that segment, there was a lot of whining, and honestly, I switched off. Not physically, literally, but I was just like, oh. And Bianca was walking off. I didn't really get why. But then all of a sudden, Naomi screams down at her. What was it she said? You ungrateful bitch! And then I was like, oh, whoa. Just reminded me again that PG era seems to be well and truly over in WWE, which is cool. And as soon as she said, you ungrateful bitch, the Jumbotron lights up and we see a 4x4 pulling in, and out walks, all covered in white, like head to toe, Jade Cargill. And she storms through backstage, straight down the ramp, looks at Bianca. Bianca gives her a little nod, like, yeah, you can beat her up. Bianca can disappear at this point. Like, go to Raw, fight Io Sky, probably have a good match, but just leave now. We're done with you, Bianca. So then Jade battered the shit out of her, chased her around. I assume there has to be more to this rivalry. Like, really, Jade Cargill's just bashed 7 shades of shit out of Naomi twice now. So Naomi's going to have to try and get even for this to carry on into a WrestleMania angle. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. So later on, we had Solo versus Braun Strowman. Unfortunately, just these two is becoming a bit of a match of the so what's. Braun Strowman, I mean, like, I follow him on Instagram and he's a charismatic guy. Like, he's funny. He's like a pretty cool guy, I think. So for his personality to be, I sometimes pick up cars and I do this run around the ring shoulder charge thing, and that's really his whole personality. It's pretty disappointing. So they were having a match. Solo was looking pretty good as it went on, and then it turned, and Braun was about to get the pin. Tama Tonga ran in and jumped on Braun. So the match ended in a DQ, and then Braun was smacking about Tama, and then Jacob came down. And that guy, man, Jacob Fatu has aura. Like, he is a legit badass. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up with an angle where he stabbed someone. Like, that guy is gangster. You watch him and he is like no messing about. Like, I bet when he walks through backstage, you have these massive, massive guys just, you're going to get out of the way, right? He's got the buzzed up eyebrows. He's got the grills. He's just a bad motherfucker, to be honest with you. Like, if UFC want to introduce the BMF title over to WWE, that is Jacob Fatu, right? So him and Braun are going at it. They're smashing each other up. There was a pretty cool face-off either side of the ring to start off with. And then it's gone backstage. They're on top of like a crate or something. And then it looked like Jacob was just going to decimate Braun again. But once they're up there, Jacob went to pick up Braun onto his shoulders, and Braun got off and choke slammed him off of this, like, probably like 8-10 feet up. So once you've got Braun holding his arm up, you're probably talking like 15 foot off the air, from the ground, and he's choke slammed Jacob Fatu through some tables or whatever shit was down there. And I was like, fuck, I couldn't believe it. And I was thinking, why would you build up Braun Strowman again? Like, Jacob Fatu needs to have a world title run at some point. But Jacob got up. He didn't attack Braun again, but the way they're building Jacob Fatu, he is indestructible right now. And it got me thinking about, there was this clip where, I think it was on Busted Open podcast, which is really good listen. And although obviously listen to mine because I'm just out here trying to make it. And Bully Ray, Bubba Ray, Dudley, whatever you know him as, he said, like, if during matches, what you want, like, your win-lose ratio doesn't matter. What you want is every time you get knocked down, you take a loss, you get the shit kicked out of you, whatever it is, you want to get up and you want to be like the end of the segment, the camera pointing at you, stood up like you're ready to go again. And that's what they had for Jacob Fatu. Like, nothing is going to keep this guy down. So I don't know whether it's going to be at WrestleMania. I don't really want Braun versus Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania. I think Jacob Fatu is better than Braun Strowman nowadays, like miles better than Braun Strowman nowadays. But we might have that, but one way or another, what we're going to get is Jacob Fatu is going to mess up Braun Strowman at some point, and I'm going to be here for it. So then we had that clip of Cena doing the unthinkable and the reactions to it. And I saw a couple of days ago that clip is the most watched WWE clip of all time, with over 200 million views and probably over 300 million views. And how SmackDown went, I have to assume that half of those views were on SmackDown. Like, every 2 seconds, it was just that clip. Like, play it once, play it twice, okay. But enough is enough. We know what happened. Like, SmackDown's on Netflix now. The pay-per-views are on, or PLEs are on Netflix now. Anyone who's watching SmackDown is also watching the pay-per-views. Everyone knows what happened. You do not need to play it 57 times for us to feel like Cena is a bad man. We all hate John Cena now. Enough's enough. So Cody came down after that. He had a proper black eye. Like, Travis Scott beat the shit out of him in real life from the sound of it. Like, forget John Cena. Travis Scott is low-key the biggest heel in WWE right now, in my opinion. The way that he just smacked him up. We've had him coming out smoking a blunt before. And, like, Travis Scott with The Rock and Cena, he did not belong there. But he stood there, sprawled out across the ropes, like he owned the place. Travis Scott, I think, should maybe fight John Cena and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, because he is the baddest man alive right now. So Cody came down, did a promo, told his daughter that he walked into a door or a wall, sounding like an abused housewife, trying to deny it. And I was thinking, like, the promo was going on, and I was starting to get a little bit like, all right, enough's enough. But Cody did it again. Every time I think I'm done with Cody, I try to get out, but he pulls me back in. He by the time he finished that promo, I could have pissed fire. Like, I was pumped up. So that was exciting, man. Like, that storyline is shaping up well. When The Rock first came down and said to Cody about taking his soul, it was weird. Like, we'd heard stories that The Rock had just sort of turned up and it was last minute. And it was one of the most uncomfortable promos I've seen. And every time he started talking about souls, I started having that little line from Always Sunny again. You gotta pay the troll toll to get inside this boy's soul. Where you're like, did you say boy's hole? No, boy's soul. And that was just what was going through my head. And I was like, this is just the weirdest segment ever. But that is, I am so excited for Cody versus Cena at WrestleMania. Like, I am going to be like a little kid jumping up and down. Like, you can't see me. The time is now. I'm ready for it. I'm so ready for it. So that was the last little promo, really. And then we had the main event. It had been built up earlier. LA Knight had done a promo. While the promo was going on, I was like, I could watch an LA Knight promo all day long. Like, he gets me fired up. He was taking the piss out of Jacob Fatu, being all gas and no break as he went through the table. That made me laugh. But I was just thinking, LA Knight isn't a main event guy for me. He's 2025 Dolph Ziggler. Like, he's cool. He's got a few good moves. Like, but there's just something there that I'm not there for with it, really. But I don't know what it is. So him and Shinsuke Nakamura had a good match. Nakamura came down in like the samurai armor. I think it was a tribute to his homie who died recently. And it was cool. It was a good match. Charles Robinson was the referee, who is the GOAT of refereeing nowadays. Like, he's been around. I didn't really watch WCW back in the day, but I know he was WCW referee. And then he came as the Invasion referee. Like, he was like the heel referee, screwing over the WWF superstars. And he just, like, he worked hard in that match. So there was like a point where LA Knight was pushing Nakamura into the corner, and Charles Robinson was in the corner. He's like, oh, like a little cartoon running away. That was hilarious. And then LA Knight did an elbow drop off of the turnbuckle, and Charles Robinson's like stood behind going, oh! Like he was going hard. And then at one point, Charles Robinson was in the corner. LA Knight was stood in front of him. Shinsuke Nakamura is about to do the missed on LA Knight. LA Knight drops down, and Charles Robinson's fucking covered in the red mist. And he was like, you'd think he'd legit been pepper sprayed how he was going. Like, he really, really sold that mist. It was cool to see. So then it just sort of descended into chaos. There was a chair in the ring. I can't really remember what was going on at that point. Shinsuke Nakamura did a cool move. Like, it looked like breakdancing on LA Knight. That they gave it a name, the commentators. I can't remember what it was. Some Japanese dude who was on NXT UK, I think, used to do it. But that was cool. And then LA Knight ended up doing the BFT onto the chair. And that was cool. But Charles Robinson wasn't there. And then another ref came running down, slid into the ring. Nakamura had been down for a hot minute, but still, 1, 2, 3. LA Knight is your new US champion. Where we are today. That is how the show ended. LA Knight celebrating, doing his little that. Is he part of the Illuminati? We don't know. But it was a really good SmackDown episode, I thought. I really enjoyed it. I've not looked at any of the reviews yet. I wanted to do this just sort of my own eyes as I saw it. But I had a good time, man. The Michin Chelsea Green match was probably my favorite, largely because I fucking love Chelsea Green. I really liked Jacob Fatu, just in general. I just like Jacob Fatu. Like, I've got a bit of a crush on that dude, to be honest. I don't know whether I could do the dreadlocks, but I could wear a balaclava at the very least. I might go as Jacob Fatu on WrestleMania night to dress up. I don't know, man. Yeah, it was a cool episode. I think they're building up for WrestleMania well, but I just keep thinking some of these stories, like we've got, I think, 5 episodes of SmackDown and 5 episodes of Raw before WrestleMania still, and I can't see some of the. I think we're going to be fatigued by these. I know this is Raw, but like Jey Uso versus Gunther. How many more times can we see Gunther bashing someone and Jey Uso running down? Like, Jay Cargill has beat 7 Shades of Shit out of Naomi twice already. Where does that rivalry go, really? Like I said, Cody, Cena, fucking pumped for, man. I am all gas and no brakes for that one. Charlotte and Tiffy, I think at the moment, I think that story's got a long way to go. Like, they really need to do something there. Like, I don't know what, maybe like go to cut Tiffy's hair or something like that. Like, what would Tiffy be upset about? I mean, she's already got her tits out. She's not that worried about anything, really, is she? I don't know. So yeah, that's cool. So looking towards WrestleMania, we've got obviously the main event set up very nicely with The Rock and Cena, Cena and Cody. Sorry. What role will Cody play in that? We've got Roman Reigns knocking about. He's not come back yet. So I thought he was going to get Seth at Elimination Chamber, but he obviously didn't. And then I thought he was going to get him at Raw, but he obviously didn't. He's still a SmackDown guy. So I hope this isn't the case, but I'm wondering whether they're going to end up with a Rock Cena versus Cody Roman on night 1, like they did with the match last year, and then Cena Cody night 2. I hope they don't. And whatever happens, I hope it's not fucking tribal rules. That was dumbest fucking match stipulation ever. All it means is you have 47 people running. That's not what we want to see. Yeah, good show. Pop in the comments. What do you think is going to happen with Roman Reigns? What dastardly thing is Charlotte Flair going to do to Tiffy to really, really get some heat? Is there anyone who can stop Chelsea Green and the Secret Service? I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to be doing these shows every week for SmackDown. I'm going to try and do the Raw ones as quickly as I can, but I still got work and meetings and stuff like that, and I'm not staying up till 1 a.m. to watch Raw. but I'll be doing those shows as well. I'm looking forward to this. I love wrestling, man. I'm 36, but I watch wrestling like a 12-year-old still. I don't care if it's fake. I'm here for it. I live for it. And with that, spend your day going all gas, no brakes.